Hello everybody, Frankie Day here. Okay guys, so it's beautiful Friday afternoon. I have video for you number 4 on Clint the bed modeler and Frankie Day's buddy build of the Revell 1/32 scale F4 Phantom. Okay guys, I got this thing all painted out like what it's supposed to be, with the exception of the Ordnance. I have the Ordnance painted and everything, and also the exhaust. I gotta get some titanium and mix that up. And paint those is all the same. So the aircraft's at the stage now for decaling. And I'm gonna go ahead and get the undercarriage going. And once I get her setting on her legs, and the other assemblies will follow as they go along. But right now she's ready to be decaled. And before I put any decals on this bird, I'm gonna make sure this thing is weathered first. I'm gonna add a coat of wash. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna add 1 coat of wash. And that'll kind of bring out some of the details out a little bit, but kind of enhance it a little bit. I gave a good coat of lacquer, gloss lacquer, and I'll let it dry. And probably later on this evening I get off work, I'll come back and resume on construction. I'll go ahead and follow up on the rest of the build. Okay guys, the way she's going now, I should have this thing done by this Sunday. Once this thing's done this Sunday, all I got left is a tippy. And I got something else for you too. I dragged out of the stash pile. I dragged out. And we'll go to that after we take a real review of the F4 Phantom. Revell 1/32 scale. As you can see, she's sitting on nicely on my well-worn cutting mat. I'm about ready to buy another one. And 86 this one. Okay guys, as you can see, we'll walk down this thing a little bit. It's all painted neutral gray, all model master paint. Somehow that Tamiya paint, I love Tamiya paint. But somehow, guys, it kind of messes with my airbrush. So I guess it dries too quick, or some kind of a formula to use that paint. So I'm going back to Model Master mineral spirits. I like that. So I use mineral spirits. I use turpentine. It's a fast drying agent that really makes the paint look good though when it's done. Okay, guys, what the hell's going on now? I just think. Oh, I see. Like I said a while ago, this thing's painted gunship gray. With neutral gray in the wingtips, as you can see. This is the Farewell F4 Phantom. This is goodbye to it and this unusual paint scheme that I know F4s were painted in. The ones I've seen that are painted in were all gold gray and white. And Vietnam, of course, is dark green and medium green and sand and white. And so I'm more or less partial. These things is a shipboard aircraft, but this here is land base only, and it's a Farewell F4 Phantom for that year. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a coat of wash on this thing, guys. Again, this thing about 2 coats of gunship gray and 2 coats of neutral gray. So once I add that wash, it'll really bring up those colors quite well. And I go ahead and add the decals. And so right now I'm going to let this gloss dry for a while. And we'll look at the cockpit a little bit details, which is not very much on the kit they give you, but they do give you a pretty reasonable cockpit. Minusing 2 crew figures. I remember the 1969 release of this aircraft. They had, it came with 2 crew figures, I believe. The radar ordnance officer, also the pilot. Assemble along the line that they don't issue in this kit here, the reboxing of this kit. And this is kind of a different paint scheme opposed to what I'm used to, but that's what it is. Sometimes modeling goes on. And I'm not going to wait for aftermarket decals for this thing and make a naval carrier bird out of it, because it's too late, because all this has got to be removed for the F4. They didn't have all the stuff during Vietnam during the time I was in the Navy. All this radar stuff they got here. And so I'm building it as it was supposed to, right straight out of the box. This is a big airplane, guys. This is miles cheaper opposed to the Tamiya kit. Tamiya kit's very expensive. I've never owned one before, but I have owned the Tamiya 1/32 scale F14 Tomcat, and I put that compared to the Revell one. And you know something? I like the Revell one better. But I can imagine what the 1/32 scale F4 is by Tamiya. It's probably a real nice kit. Pricey, again. But I'll settle for this. This doesn't cost me too much money. And I hope Clint gets his going so we can include our wonderful buddy build we got. I'm kind of worried about him. I think last video I seen of Clint, I think he kind of ventured into the RC, excuse me, the RC category. And some of those guys go to RC and they forget about us styrene builders. And like Chris and Alex is another example. They used to be the kingpins on YouTube, and those fellows right there are into RC, a lot more better joys. They're really into that instead of building models. There's a lot of guys are kind of that way, you know, like plastic models kind of gets them into something else, and once they find where they want to be at, that's where they're going to be. But me, outside plastic, wood, and paper, I fly U-control airplanes and free flight. That's all I do. But I swing, of course you guys all know me, I swing all different type of materials when it comes to building my models. So I'm getting this girl out of the way, so I'm waiting for this gloss to dry so I can give it a coat of wash and wipe it down real well. And give it a coat of, another coat of gloss. Let it dry, apply the decals, and lastly add a coat of matte. And it should wrap this, and go ahead and finish the rest of the build on this thing. And I think I'll wrap her up. And this is the first time I built an F4 since 1969 of this scale. 1969, this model cost $1.98 back then. I remember it quite well. It was a Flight Attitude launching those Sparrowhawk missiles they had. This kit comes with all kinds of ordnance. It comes with drop tanks, weapons pod, Sparrow missiles, Sidewinder missiles, a bunch of other new ordnance I'm not familiar with. But I'm going to put the Sparrow missiles on it, 2 drop tanks, 2 fuel tanks, and the weapons pod. And that's going to be it for the ordnance of this thing. So I should have this thing done by Sunday. Okay, guys, we'll bring her back to yours truly. This is a good kit, guys. There's there's no fit issues. As old as this thing is, there's no fit issues at all. I never ran into no fit issues. It builds very, very well. I mean, it goes as old as nature it is. I couldn't ask for a better kit. I like this F4 Phantom. And I'm going to have her done. And so, like I told you guys, I'm slow. But I get everything done when I got started here on YouTube. You guys will see it get finished. And I got oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles and then some of builds that need to be built before I leave this world. And I'm going to give it a try. Okay, guys, I'm going to bring in this one right here as another build. I'm bringing an intro on this one too. This is no stranger to the modeling community. This thing's been around since 1969. This is the P-47D Thunderbolt. This is 1/32 scale Revell. This is the Smithsonian collection. This is definitely an 80s kit. I believe I got this probably back in 1989. I think I got it down Kmart. Kmart used to stock a lot of models, dirt cheap. I regret of all the stuff they had that I didn't stock up on, but tons of it. They had a lot of those monogram P-61 Black Widows. Remember them guys? And also the TBD Devastator torpedo bombers. They had a lot of those in there. They're $2 a shot back then. And they were listed retailed for $3. But Kmart got it for $2. I should have wiped out the whole model section of them things. I had the money back then and everything. Gosh, I regret that. What I'm going to do with a bunch of P-61s and TVDs is unknown. But there's a lot of stuff Kmart had back in those days, back in the 80s and not in the 70s that you really could stock up on and get, you know. And so I believe I got this at Kmart. I got it here in '89. I think I got it in New Lebanon, Ohio. Went to my sister-in-law's house to visit her, and bought it at Kmart. This is a good kit, guys. This is a rivet queen. So first thing you do is, after you assemble this thing, is to get some wet and dry sandpaper and sand the dickens, man. Sand those rivets down so it's nice and smooth, but still low relief, so that you see you don't want to completely move them all together. And that will give you a little bit of substance. But the rivets in this kit are overdone. That's how it was back in the '60s. They may have looked like rivets, like real thing back in those days, but they weren't so. So they kind of over-exaggerated in molding these airplanes by putting these heavy-duty rivets on here that only Rosie the River could count. And I built this thing numerous times. It goes together very well. Comes with a good engine. You got 2 inspection panels right there that open up the side of the cowling right there. You can reveal that big old huge double-row Wasp Pratt & Whitney engine that the mighty P-47D incorporated to give her power and strength. Now, P-47D was designed off a P-35 Sovietsky. It was a Russian-designed airplane. And the Sovietsky came earlier in the Army Air Corps as early as 1935. They had that beautiful, almost elliptical wing. And that's what gave that airplane a lot of streamlined speed and stability. And the P-47, they came out with the P-47, the Razorback, and the D is the bubble top. And like I mentioned the last video, I seen a movie with Robert Stack in it, Edward O'Brien, and a host of other old actors that played in the movies back in the 50s, 40s, and 60s. It's called Fighter Squadron, about a bunch of P-47s probably stationed in Italy. And these things were brilliantly painted. They were all aluminum ships with red cowling bands. Some had blue, some had blue tails, some had red tails, yellow identification squadron lines underneath the wings. Very colorful. These things were colorful birds at the time. So I'm debating on using these decals on this kit. I'm thinking about going ahead and just paint it up like in that movie called Fighter Squadron. If I can find that movie and kind of get a good idea and depth view, see if I can discern some details off the movie footage that I can put in this here model. So I'm going to bring this out. This has been calling me for a while. I haven't built a P-47 Thunderbolt in good gravy, almost 40 years. That's a long time. So I'm decided to go ahead and add this as another build I can do. And I'll get that started. Okay guys, I'll let this thing dry. I'm going to prepare for work after a while. I got off work, going to do some more on this. So after this Sunday, for the final reveal of the F4, I'm going to go ahead and start turning to on the Tiffy, so I get that thing pretty much up to date. And make a progress report on that, because I tiddled it a little bit after I made the last video on it, and I kind of laid off with it and got the Victor finished up, and messed around with the Great Lakes trainer and stuff, and kind of roaming around a little bit. So all my stuff is pretty well caught up. When I finish this thing, all my airplanes all caught up. They're all done. All I got to do is that Tiffy and this P-47 Thunderbolt. That'll keep me going for a while. Okay, guys, this is the conclusion of video 4 on the Nad Modeler and Frankie Dave's F4 Phantom buddy build video. Clint, sir, if you're out there, buddy, please acknowledge at once. I'm worried about you. A lot of us fellows out there worried about you too. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're well. And I'm very anxious to see the progress on your F4. So please give us a ring and a show up, so we know that you're okay, buddy. You know, you'd be surprised. You got people out there that care for everybody. You know, and we care for you too. And I care for you all. And I care for my wife, so you gotta make her happy. You guys make Mama happy. Build on. I'm building on. We all build on together as a community and modelers. And please subscribe. Thank you very much, guys, for your wonderful, wonderful comments. I'm very sorry I haven't gotten back to your guys' comments, though, but I read them, and I have dabbled in my mind, and my prayers and heart is with all you guys out there, so thank you very much. And we'll see you this Sunday for the final reveal of the F4 Phantom. Bye, boys. Take care, gentlemen.